Hello, everybody out there across all social media lands, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and anything else I missed. Welcome back here on Sunday where we do our nerdy podcast on the M3 channel. And this week we will be talking about the anniversary of Resident Evil 7, Naomi episode 2, Peacemaker episode 4, also uh the Moon Knight trailer, of course, Book of Boba Fett, and we'll have a little Bat family discussion. But first, before we start, I want to give a shout out and condolences to Regina King this week. Her son committed suicide. He was only the age of 26. And also here, we also talk about mental health a lot. And it's very unfortunate that some internal demons can't be
exercised.
Right. And people check themselves out and on a permanent basis. And one thing that made me mad this week, when people say, a person taking their life is selfish. I don't think it is. I don't. Because if you've done everything you can and you still can't find any peace, I understand it. I do. But yeah, condolences to Regina King. And there are ways to, look for signs if someone is depressed or not even. But if they feel like they're withdrawing and stuff like that, look for those signs. Go read up on the signs of suicide so you can at least offer someone some help. And hopefully things turn out for the better.
Also, if someone's a friend of yours and you see that they post something that indicates that they're sad, like check in on them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you consider yourself to actually be a friend. Like it's one thing if you're just following like a random person on Twitter. But even then, like, I mean, if you don't have anything else to do, like sometimes people who are sad and feel that disconnected, that they contemplate those types of things, just want somebody to show that they give a shit.
Absolutely.
And that could just be a stranger saying, "Hey man, you okay? I saw your post about feeling really sad. Like, you good? Like, are you okay?" You don't necessarily have to make yourself fully available to, sit and listen to 3 hours of conversation or venting. But like, just check on people, especially if you see that they're sad. Like it means the world to those of us who have been in those types of situations or been in those dark places.
And it doesn't take a lot of energy just to be a decent human being and a nice person. So if I've interacted with anybody on my social media, if I see them post something sad or something, I just say, "Hey, you good? You all right? If you need somebody to talk to, I'm here." But it doesn't hurt to do certain things, situations like that happen, because you just never know what people are going through. And plus, with everything the world has been going through with COVID and all things, it's just like people are going through a lot on top of already what they had going on. So just, be mindful of that people are just struggling out here. It's hard,
Mm-hmm.
So
it is. Also, so I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole and then we'll go down another one that's kind of got people. No, wait. I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole first. That's got people upset. On Black Twitter, especially with the Aquafina and the NAACP controversy right now. People feel like, well, she shouldn't have got nominated for an award because she's not. How I say this? She's not a melanated person of color.
She's not black.
She's not black. Basically,
because she ain't black.
Yeah, right. Because she ain't black.
Right. Just say that. Yeah.
Because she's not black, and she's used a black scent over the years in her career to be successful. And the NAACP nominated her for best voiceover for a character. She played Raya in The Last Dragon. I haven't seen Raya in The Last Dragon yet. I heard it was I heard mixed things about it, so it's just like,
Me too.
so it's like, okay,
Wait, neither one of
maybe
you has seen it,
no,
No, I'm sorry.
and you have Disney Plus this whole time.
I mean, I've
yeah.
seen kind of, but that's about it.
I was interested, and then other things came on, but I'm so I gave it now. Quick side note. In Encanto, yeah, Encanto is a great movie. That movie is awesome.
It
So
is.
I will give Raya and Electric a chance tonight or tomorrow sometime.
Mhm.
But Encanto won. I forgot what they won something too. I forgot what it was. But yes, Encanto is a great movie. Go watch that. I
Because
highly
we don't
recommend
talk
that
about
one.
Bruno.
No,
It's a
we
hit.
don't talk about we don't.
It's a hit.
Let me break out to the
It's a
song.
hit.
But anyway,
Silencio, Bruno.
Hmm. Hmm.
yes. I also like the video where they got it in different languages. Oh my, that is hot. But
Hmm.
anyway, but back to Aquafina. Yeah, and but she is a person of color because we put Asians and a lot of us under that umbrella of the we're people of color. So people are like confused, and also people are mad at her because of her black scenting, and she's from Queens, and she says that she talks like people from Queens. She's been around people that talk like she's talking, and it's a whole big thing. So what are your thoughts, Keeman, on it now that you know if you have any?
So, so like I was telling you before we went live,
Uh-huh.
I when you sent me the message about the topics, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, because I had heard about it literally the day before.
Hmm.
But like I also told you, I've been in a mood of if it ain't my business, I ain't paying it no mind.
Okay, understand.
And also, these things are above my pay grade. So honestly, what am I gonna do? But my thing is what I think is that people got mad because she was nominated, but NAACP is for colored people, and they she is part of that, you know, that
Hmm.
group. So it's like I don't see a problem with that because NAACP awards is not just for black people.
No, it's not.
I don't understand where people are up in arms about it. Um, Especially in regards to being up in arms with her regarding the nomination. She didn't nominate herself; they
Mm-mm.
nominated her.
Right.
So that's that. And then with the whole black scent thing, I love Aquafina, so I'll just keep it at
Okay.
that. But watch it, girl. Amen.
Right. Okay. Right, Keeman. Citro, any quick thoughts?
Um, so I do think that there is a big difference between people of color and colored people.
Hmm.
That's true.
Now, I don't really care whom the NAACP gives awards to. Like for me, it's you can nominate anybody. It doesn't matter what their race is or anything. Like,
True,
um,
because
I
it's an
feel like as
award.
long as they fit, the charter or whatever you're heralded to be doing, according to your name, like if you feel like you're upholding your own values, like it doesn't matter whom you give an award to, in my opinion. So like if she deserved it,
Absolutely.
she deserved it, whatever. I do think that there's a certain level of onus that she's like very much sort of denied in her exploitation of black stereotypes in order to make herself more unique.
Hmm.
And I at least it would be nice if she could just release a statement, hopefully like a video type of statement so that we're
Yeah.
seeing you say it instead of just, those things that companies will put out where it's just like text with
The
nice font and like a nice layout in the background and
And
the
then not some statement.
don't post the iOS press release.
right, right.
Right, and it's like
I
we don't need that, but like if she just went in an interview and let somebody ask her maybe questions she chooses, but like at least the question of like, do you feel like you've utilized that? It's okay, in my opinion, for her to say, yeah, I utilized that to get by. Who hasn't done something that might be a little questionable in order to make it?
There you go.
Especially people who know struggle. So like, I'm
yeah.
not necessarily denying. I mean, like saying, like it was definitely. I don't. I think she was absolutely doing it, And I don't think you can actually deny that that's not what's happening or
Mm-hmm.
try to put it off as something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think what would be best for her, especially for her constituents, the people who like her, the people who continue to like her, the people who look like us who like her.
Right.
It would be nice if you were just like, you know what, I did, and that was a bad thing, and I like, or like that was something that probably wasn't a good idea for me, but it's, you know, what I thought to do at the time in order to make it how I made it. She clearly doesn't really do that now because she knows, like, you know, something's different, right? So I feel like just owning up to that old time. Like I was talking to Devon earlier this week. I was like, Tilda Swinton has had interviews where about her being the Ancient One in Doctor Strange, and talks about like maybe that wasn't the best idea to allow them to represent the Ancient One in that way. Like the character should have definitely been like an Asian character. Even if they decided to make it a woman instead of a man, like it could have been an Asian character.
Right.
And so she's said things like that, or other characters or other people. And maybe, unfortunately, white people are the most experienced in being in these situations. Like, so their PR people are certain ways, but it's like I do think that she should at least just make a little quick statement to acknowledge that she did it. I don't even need an apology. I don't really want an apology, honestly, because you did it, you wanted to do it, you knew what you were doing. Just be like, yeah, I did that at a time in my life.
Just own it. Just own it.
I've gotten to a different place now as a result of those things, and the only thing I can do now is do better. You know, like that's it. That's it. You just acknowledge it, and we can move on. But like, I do think that it's going to be a stigma that's going to stick with her until she actually does that, or at least tries to.
Oh yeah.
And it might even be too late at this point, even if she does try to, because people might not even see that if it does actually happen, and they'll still just stick on what they know from her in the past. Which is what people are wont to do. I thought that such and such was so and so. It's like, no, sweetie, so much has changed.
Right.
Wait, what happened with Bill Cosby? Like, you know, like people just coming out the woodwork, like they haven't heard what's going on. It's like, no, things have changed. They're not the same icon as they were before. Or
no.
And I do, and I do like her in things. I don't know. I can't say that I love all of her work or am really into her as like a comedian, but like I do like her in a few things that I've seen. I haven't seen that many things of her, but the things that she was in, I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I can't say that I've listened to much of her. She's a musician, right? Or she raps?
No, she's a comedian, actress. Does she
have music? I feel like she has music.
No, I don't
Probably
think she does.
I don't know.
The only reason why I say that is just because, like, the name itself, like, she's Nora. What? She's Nora something.
Nora from Queens, but that's a show anyway.
I just meant like her actual name. Like, Aquafina's not her name. Aquafina to me sounds like a stage name for a musician.
She's a rapper.
Okay.
Okay, she's a rapper. Okay.
It just felt.
She had a rap song called "My Vag," so there you go.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right, you know, take that how you will.
Well, yeah. So that's all. But I feel like that's more of a PR thing. She can really just continue to do what she does, and like Hollywood will still hire her.
Right, because you know Hollywood is mostly white. So
and also like doing a black scent, although distinguishable, and like there is evidentiary proof. I feel like it's also one of those things that can just easily be a he said, she said thing, or a she said thing, and you can gloss over. It's not like she was recorded on camera saying negative things about black people as a group, or like Hispanic people as a group, or white people. Like, it's not like she was documented saying really nasty things. She's just documented using an accent that's unsavory.
Probably not hers. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it's just it's a little different. So I feel like she can make it without necessarily having to address that. It's not like she's molesting somebody or me tooing some folk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, you know, when it's on the margins or when it's questionable and in gray areas and it has to do with us. is quick to be like swept under the rug, or that's not anything. Remember the first like 3 episodes of Falcon and Winter Soldier? They tried to tell us that the show wasn't going to deal with race and racism in America,
and it did.
and I'm like, did you not see the bank situation?
Yeah.
Did you not see Isaiah?
Right.
I'm confused. And they're like, no, it's not race. And then when it was like blatantly obvious that it's absolutely about race, then they started like heavily hammering the show with criticism. And it's still like one of the shows that gets dunked on every time a new Marvel show comes out. Oh, this is so much better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like people did that with Hawkeye. And I'm like, it has the same problems. I'm confused. I'm so confused here. Like at least Falcon and Winter Soldier actually had some things that they wanted to talk, like that they tried to talk about, and were in my opinion, pretty successful in at least some of the main things they tried to address. Hawkeye was just like, it's Christmas and there's some mystery stuff, and here's a couple of cameos. Merry Christmas. And everybody was like Google-eyed over the cameos and sort of glossed over the fact that the show itself wasn't really that good.
But wait, I will say this, and then we'll move on. I will say that Hawkeye to me was the Shazam of it all, and what I mean by that is that we got Batman versus Superman, we got Justice League, we got Wonder Woman, we got all these dark things, and then here comes Shazam to put a lighter note on the DCEU, and then I feel like that's what Hawkeye was to the MCU at this point. Like we had all these things happen, like with Natasha and everything, and then we get this light, kind of there's still a dark moment in there, but it's also a lot of light. It's more light, so it's like the breathe easy of it all.
I mean, I think that was what their attempt was trying to be. Like they really tried to make it be a palate cleanser, but how lighthearted can you really make, like how lighthearted at Christmas can you really make a show about a dude grieving over the death of his best friend and like a girl grieving over the like criminality of her only living parent? The show was actually really dark, and they tried a little too hard to be like, it's Christmas, let's be festive and jolly. And it's like,
that shit went out though.
They literally like wept together over frozen daiquiri mix in ugly sweaters in an not abandoned, but her aunt's like unused apartment on a couple of days before Christmas, and he's weeping about like, I haven't really grieved yet. And then they just sort of gloss over it the next day, and it's like, oh, well, let's meet the LARPers and have some fun again. And it's like, I kind of needed more. Like, let's not gloss over these people's mental health, please.
Right.
Please.
But it's neither here nor there. I didn't think Hawkeye was a bad show. I just think that like the overall, when the show first started, people were like, oh, these first 2 episodes are already better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. And I'm like, dude, the first 7 minutes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, when they gave us that fight scene when he's flying and stuff, I'm like, that was better than the first 3 episodes of Hawkeye. I'm sorry, as far as action. The coolest thing we got in the first 3 episodes of Hawkeye was the Pym arrow on the bridge.
Now that was dope.
That was dope.
And I'm like, this dude is a marksman with arrows, and so is Kate to a certain degree. And it's like, we had to wait until the 3rd episode to see them use arrows for real. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's just like I said, when things have to do with us, people always find other reasons besides this to make up in order to put it down more.
Facts.
And like you can really look at especially the critical reception of most of anything, but like just look at the MCU. Anytime it's like a woman heading a project or it's a minority heading a project, those projects always get trashed so much more. And when you really look at them, like remember how Eternals got like dunked on hard. And then it came out a couple of days ago, or it was available on Disney Plus finally on the 12th. And people after watching it was like, everybody hated this. I love this movie. Or like, I don't understand why people are hating it. They hated it because there was a lot of minorities and the lead was an Asian woman. And then they also dealt with like homosexuality, and there was like a
For
brief
a smidge.
there was a
Literally.
brief look.
Like-
the sex scene
Was
when I
not
was in the
necessary.
theater, people walked out
It was-
when I watched the sex scene,
Can we not?
and it wasn't even really a sex scene. You
I still
got
think
like
she got sand in her
you
cooch.
got a hint, right? You got a hint of thrusts,
Right.
and then you're like, wait, they're just doing this on bare rock,
right.
and what's so.
Gotta check her pH.
A friend,
Right.
a friend of mine was talking. We were talking about it, because we watched it together, or I rewatched it for like the 4th time, and then later, remember after they showed the sex, was it after? I can't remember if it was after or before, but they have that scene where Kingo is trying to do his little documentary on the plane. And she's talking about all the things she can turn a rock into. He was like, she couldn't turn a rock into a bed when they were having sex.
Facts, though. Let's talk about it. True.
Okay.
Like, very true.
So, okay. So
Very.
there is a topic about that about goes around Fastos that I was talking about, but I'm gonna wait until next month for that one because I was kind of heated with that one too. I
have an addendum to the sex on the rock.
Okay.
In Eternals. So they were in that rock section, right? They're like talking about it. He expresses his love for her the first time, says like, I'm yours if you'll have me. It's very poignant. And then, they start kissing, and then the next thing they're like nude and he's thrusting, right? So they're in this little rock quarry area. Later in the movie, like right around the time that we reveal that Icarus is like he's the one who who contributed to Ajax's death, essentially.
Yeah.
Cersei comes back and they have a conversation there for a moment. And then he starts to walk away after he tells her that he loves her and is like always loved her or whatever. And he starts to turn away and she says his name and he stops. And then she walks up to him and you see her hand clasp his. And then you don't see anything else. And the next scene is they're walking back in the Domo down the hall. She's a little bit ahead of him and she's smiling a little bit. And I'm like, did they have sex again? Like, I don't know if anyone's actually like looked at this or paid attention to it.
Wow.
Because Eternals, it's a lot of info. It's a lot that happens in Eternals. But like when I saw that, I was like, did they?
And I think that actually contributed to her breaking down and crying too, because they're like, she's like, we just had sex and now we find out that did you kill Ajax? Like,
right, not that you fucked me one more time before you revealed that you were the villain the whole time. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
I just can't.
That's the most diabolical part of
right.
all of it.
True ain't shit man fashion. Okay?
Right. And everybody wanted to be mad because he flew into the sun. That doesn't make any sense. Do you know what he did before all this happened?
Right. And also he knows what's coming. He knows that I think
They about to get in trouble.
Right. Arsham is about to come, but like he didn't want no parts of that. He was like, I'm good.
I tried to fight them.
He told her before they had sex the second time on the rock. He told her, he's like, I can't protect you from him. I can't protect you from Erisham. Like, so if you do this, like, So after dealing with the weight of all that he did, evil wise, and then at the end couldn't even eye blast her, I'd fly myself into the sun too.
He also became part of the Unimind, unwillingly became part of the Unimind, but he still was part of it. So Arisham would have looked at him too, like, you was part of this too, nigga. Come on. Like,
come catch this fade.
Right.
Okay. I mean, even though he probably did absolutely die, like it's possible that he didn't die.
But also
like he could be hanging out with White Vision somewhere.
But also the
two niggas we haven't seen since they flew into space.
They both flew away and they gone bye-bye. We don't know where they are.
Look, and they flew away from women that they once loved or had some kind of feeling for. So it's like
I know the timeline is off, but it's like White Vision does the I am Vision and flies off, and he runs into Icarus, and they're like, "Where you headed?" "Oh, I'm going to the sun. I'll go with you."
What? I
So what?
can't
I
not.
can't.
They chilling
Bro.
out on Mercury right now,
They
just
just
having
chilling.
conversations
Now, what
about
if it happens?
the
Then
ship
we're
of
gonna be like,
Theseus.
Right. or Vincent could have went to the moon with Steve Rogers. Be up there chilling with Icarus and Steve. We don't know.
Child.
They're probably up there watching the unreleased second season of Inhumans.
Okay.
Okay,
Next
moving
subject.
on. No,
I
for
can't.
real,
Next,
for real. We gonna move
move,
on now. See, bro. Okay,
please.
so
Oh my gosh.
okay.
Woo, baby.
All right. So tomorrow marks the the anniversary of Resident Evil 7. And Resident Evil 7 did take Resident Evil back to its horror roots, I will say. And I loved Resident Evil 7. I played it probably about 4 or 5 times before I put it down. And so imagine that you're Ethan Winters going into a house, but because your significant other you got a message from your significant other, she's been kidnapped there. And the whole thing is the Mega My Seed, and the whole thing is your significant other was actually an Umbrella agent trying to control this little girl and the Mega My Seed. And the whole thing happened with the Baker family gave me so many Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibes. So yeah, it was a thrill ride for me, a thrill ride for a lot of people because when the game first came out, people were not playing this game because it was just that scary for them. Like the scene where Mia's crawling up the steps, people were like, I'm out of here. This is too much. I was just like, but don't you watch horror movies? One of my friends was like, I can't do this game, but you watch horror movies. This is different. I was like, how?
Because it's a game. When you're in a game, I can explain that.
I
When
know.
you're
I
in a
know.
game,
I
you
was
feel sometimes like you're the character,
yeah.
and it's different. Like it's one thing to watch people
And you're
go
in
through
control.
horror. Right. What's one thing to watch people go through horror movie stuff? It's
Right.
another thing to be in one or to feel like a simulated be in one.
Uh-huh.
Never
So I mean, I can understand it.
Right.
I don't necessarily. It's not really a difference for me, but
Right.
I will say that I do prefer. Like I do prefer to watch horror movies than play horror games.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, I don't like both. I don't like either. But
Because playing horror games to me is like a live action choose your own adventure.
Ugh.
And I've
Yeah.
never really liked those books. I kind of just want the adventure to be in front of
my
me.
gosh, those books.
Especially if it's like horror based and the ending usually derives like death. If it's an RPG, yeah, give me all of that. I want to be in that game forever. But like if it's horror, I don't know. I just like to watch people do stuff in horror than like participate in it myself. But I'm okay with certain zombie games.
Okay.
I've played a couple of Resident Evils, but like never finished them. It's just like, oh, this is a cool experience, and then I kind of did something else, picked up the sticks for Smash Brothers or something. But
Yeah. but as an OG Resident Evil fan, I love the story of it. And being a first person too was a new experience because it's always either been the whole tank fixed camera thing or it's been a third person over the shoulder. But being first person was a new experience, especially dealing with the molded and everything. And once you get the buzzsaw, the molded are easy people to kill. They're like, oh, this isn't a problem anymore. And oh my gosh. But Resident Evil 7 was a new experience. It really was when it came out, and it turned Capcom. Well, it turned Resident Evil around for a lot of fans. So we do appreciate it. Now, Resident Evil 8 was not as scary, but it went more supernatural.
that's the Village, right?
Yeah, it's Village, yeah. And then the remake of 4 is about to come out sometime, so hopefully we'll know more about that. But Resident Evil's out, and tomorrow I'll probably try to do a whole entire stream of Resident Evil 7, and I think the whole runtime for that is what 2.5 hours or 3 hours, depending on.
Oh, it doesn't.
How much-
It's not a long play.
Is Resident Evil 7, once you've been through the game multiple times, you can clock how long it actually takes. And Resident Evil 7 it's probably the third shortest Resident Evil game in the whole franchise.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I thought maybe you're like a Resident Evil speed runner or something.
I can be. I know how to beat it in under. And I know how to beat it in under an hour. I can be, but I won't. I'll Yeah, because there was in the longest part. Actually, the two longest parts of the game are how you fight Jack and the ship. That's it. Everything else is kind of shortened. Like you can shorten it by doing other things. So, um, but yeah.
Uh,
So we're going to move on to Naomi. Now, I've seen the first two episodes of Naomi. Have you seen it, Keeman?
I have not. I've been watching a lot of Shameless lately
Oh,
because I've never. The thing is, I started Shameless like last week,
okay.
so I've been like engulfed in Shameless
I
because
told you once you
it's
start
such a
watching it,
trash show. Um, I love it, but it's got some trash people. I literally have to go thank my parents. Like, thank you so much for
right.
just
Ah,
being good.
I warn people that watch Shameless. I warn them that once you start it, you will get hooked
And
because it's
I am.
always something on each episode. Is always
I am.
something going on.
I am. I haven't even watched Peace, but I haven't watched nothing.
Oh
Like
wow. Okay.
I've been like engulfed. I need to take a break personally. I've been watching that and Euphoria, but I need to take a
See,
break.
I need to get into Euphoria. I haven't seen
Euphoria
it.
is
I,
very. I tell people if you want to watch Euphoria, go into it with an open mind because it is very dark,
mhm.
um, and it can tug at mental. So just
Yeah.
it's a warning. And take your time. If you can't just go through it, just take your time because
Okay.
it's crazy.
That do you mind if we talk about it a little bit, or Naomi, or
No,
do you
by
want?
all
Oh,
means, please talk
okay.
about it,
All right.
please.
But before we do, we have some comments over here. So, type effect to type. How you doing today? We appreciate you. Condolences to Regina King and the tragic all around. Yes. Because we had some other deaths this week. There are bigger issues to solve. Agreed. And some people don't want to acknowledge their biases. Checked.
When
That is.
he said that when we were talking about Eternals and
Yeah.
the Sandy Cooch.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can turn a rock into water. I can turn a rock into air. I even turned a rock. What about a bed, Cersei? What about a bed? What
You
Wait.
about a
just clearly
soda?
lost that. You just clearly forgot that.
What about a soda?
I
Can you
mean,
turn a
that's
rock
true.
into a
Like that's
soda?
when you said that, I was like, you know what? You're right. That she did say that. Why she ain't turn it into no bed or into a freaking towel or a sheet or something
or
where you
feathers
can
at least
lay.
something.
I don't want my back all scratched up. What? And you got lady parts. You gotta take
right,
care of that.
right.
You
Right.
know, pH balance and things. You just gotta be.
Now I will give some credit for this to be a CW show. I will say that this doesn't start off, or doesn't feel like start off as corny as their
Oh,
other shows have started off. I will say that, and you know, this is a black girl. Shut up, Cedro. I don't like your hair discussion right now. Oh, look, Cedro, I don't like you right now. Hush, stop
It
it.
didn't start off as corny.
Okay, I didn't say it didn't start off corny. I didn't say that.
you said it didn't start
Okay,
off as corny.
as corny, right? I didn't say it wasn't corny.
No, I know. I literally just said it wasn't as corny. Was what I said. Are you sure?
Okay, to me. Okay, look. Okay, so okay, her parents. Yeah.
She ran out the
Okay.
middle of a class because somebody said they spotted Superman downtown. And
Right.
downtown is being really generous because this town is tiny as hell. So it's more like a
Right.
town square. And she left in the middle of class while she was like talking. She was just like, wait, what? And she looked at her phone. It's like, oh, Superman? She runs. Doesn't even
Mhm.
make it there. Passes out.
Because her powers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because her
that's
powers kind of activated. Yeah.
but the way that was presented was like
Yeah.
quite
Quite
I
corny. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying like it's to me it's starting off in sort of the same way. Now this is different because it's going to be a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's still discovering her powers, so I don't know how I feel yet about all of that, but I'll know once. For me, it's like once the whole season is out, I feel like I can give a better interpretation of what it is that we're watching so far, because it's going to be that like CW sort of slow burn. I don't know how many episodes this season's supposed to have. Do you know offhand? Is it going to be
No, I
like the
don't.
normal 20, like early 20s something, or is
I
it
don't.
going to be like 10 to 12 or
I feel like it's gonna be 10 to 12 for this one.
okay.
That's the feeling I'm getting from it, because she's discovering her power. She discovered that D is from Thanagar. It's a lot of discovery. I think this is going to be a lot of discovery. Of course, it's a superhero. There's always a lot of discovery, but I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of discovery. I think she's going to end up fighting. We don't even really know who the villain is at this point, because D is not a villain, but the guy that had stole the disc from her, I can't think of his name.
Zumbato.
Zumbato. We don't even know if he's a villain or if he's there to help her. We don't know yet. So
Yeah,
we don't even
they
know who the
haven't
villain is at
revealed
this
anything.
point. No.
Do y'all, from what y'all have seen so far, do y'all think the show is gonna do well, or is it gonna be one of those like?
I think it's gonna do well. I think it has potential to build upon. I will say that. Now, if whether they build upon it or not, that's the writing and shit. So, but I believe it has a lot of potential to build upon and be a great show.
Yeah, it's almost like they're marketing it. They're marketing it for the people who might be sad that Black Lightning is done. But also like it's definitely more. It's it's weird that I feel like I'm saying this, but it's more diverse than Black Lightning. And I think that will pull the other like CW superhero show fans to it. So I think it's got like pull of both of those types of worlds. Whereas I feel like the way that Black Lightning was marketed, they like tried to really just push it for Black people, and I think that's why it didn't have the same sort of pop as it could have had. And I think they tried a little too hard to make those worlds separate.
Yeah,
when it first came out, they weren't in the same universe, and then with the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing, they brought them in, and then told us that they sort of combined certain universes, and that it was almost as if they were supposed to be in the same universe after that point, but then they still kept them separate.
Right.
Whereas the other shows felt like they were trying to incorporate the John Diggles or the random character that's like the through line throughout. And so I feel like that segregation of the show in almost a written way felt a little weird. And I feel like it contributed to the show not having the popularity it could have had.
Right, because when they after Crisis on Infinite Earths, they did combine the main their Justice League, the main Justice League, into one Earth, but Titans was still another Earth. Doom Patrol is still another Earth. The Green Lantern, the planet of Oa. I won't say the Green Lantern movie, even though that's where it came from. The planet of Oa is a different Earth. So it was a lot. I was just like, but y'all put to combine everything, and now, okay, whatever.
In true DC fashion, confusing.
Right. And like Stargirl is on another Earth, and so is Naomi. I'm gonna guess at this point. But yes, I loved how she's discovering her powers. Like, and I don't want to compare her to the character, but it's like she's discovering her powers kind of like a Kryptonian, like maybe a Black Supergirl at this point, because she's like, I don't know what my abilities are. I don't know what I can do. And Dee's trying to tell her that if you jump off the bridge, you won't hit the ground, you'll fly and stuff like that. So it's like she's slowly, discovering her power like a Supergirl,
Yeah, I'm going to watch that.
Even though her powers are great. She does have super strength. She can fly. She can manipulate matter. So, I'm anticipating and excited to see what they do with her, and hopefully they give her all her powers and not just some of them. Because they're good for that too.
Ciao.
Like honestly, Black Lightning, and Thunder have more powers than they showed on that show. But I was like, y'all not gonna show all of them, are you? Nope, you're not. Okay.
No. Nah, we're just gonna make you a cyberpunk hero.
Right.
That suit was like real cyberpunk.
The first one or the second one?
Gosh, I guess maybe that's the first. Whichever one was the really glowy one.
The
I
real
don't.
lightning lapels. Yeah,
I think the
yeah.
second one.
Okay, yeah,
That's
it was the
funny.
first one. The first one was the
was
the
the
real
first one.
flashy one. It was the first one.
Okay.
But yes, go watch Naomi. I mean, it support our black cinema, our black media, please. It is a good show, so go watch it. Next is we're gonna talk a little bit about Peacemaker. Now, this episode for me kind of, and no, that kind of it grounded the show a little bit more for me. And what I mean by that is, of course, the first three kind of started off kind of silly and dushy, like a douchebag show, and Peacemaker still talking about, so I'm a douche. Okay, probably wrong word. I
know
said,
you.
you know what I meant, douchebaggy. I should have said, but
Okay, because I feel like me and C-Joe's reaction was the same. I was like,
okay, wrong word to
I
use.
mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Wrong.
We know. We know what you mean.
Right.
I think. Oh my. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please. Continue.
But this episode kind of grounded it more for me. Like, okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting to what he's about, really, what he's trying to do, and what this whole Project Butterfly is about. It's like, oh, and the fact that his father is also a neo-Nazi, and and in the comics, the White Dragon was part of the KKK, which explains the character in the show too, as well. It's like, because I was thinking this earlier this week. I was like, is the White Dragon supposed to be like a comic book term for a title of the KKK? And it was. So,
I'm also pretty sure in real life, the way the KKK designates higher ups is like Grand Dragon, Grand Wizard.
yeah.
So it's very much like some racist D&D players like invented it, but it couldn't have been because it was like 1866 in Tennessee. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's good the way that they have his father like that. Now, I will say that I know that this is very comic book, or not. This is not that the show is very comic book accurate, but that the trope is very common in comic books. That like the easiest way to endear a character to you is to like make their parent an asshole.
Yeah.
And it's like he killed Rick Flag, and so some of us that actually had attachments to Rick Flag, are a little like disappointed that a character that we wanted to not die, like died in the Suicide Squad movie. And so he's the one who did that. He almost killed Ratcatcher too. Like he's done some stuff that like we can't really necessarily forgive just yet. But put him in a show like this, and his father is like an even worse person than he is and treats him like shit. It's like we immediately sort of don't care as much about the bad things he's done. It's like, oh, it's sort of justified a little bit. And it's like a very common tactic that gets used in shows, especially when there's a character that we hate or is designed to be hated, especially in the first season or the first few seasons. And then when they want us to like them again, they just introduced us to their family life. And it's like, oh, your parents are horrible to you. Or, oh, your mom treats you like this. And then like suddenly, because of those connections and maybe connections or representations we might feel connected to, like the character becomes a little more endearing. So I kind of like that they did that because it works. And it makes some sense as to whom his character is. I don't know who his dad is in the movies. I mean, not movies. I'm sorry. I don't know who his dad's character is in the comics. But if they made this choice to like make him this racist guy, I think it's cool. Like, I think it works because it helps me care a little bit more about Peacemaker as a character. Because I can't say that I really did in the first few episodes. I was still kind of like, why does this show exist? Like, it's not bad. It wasn't bad. It was good, but it's like one of those good things that you don't have to have. And I wasn't sure like what would make me more invested. And so this last episode, I think, helped with that.
Yeah, it really did.
And I care a little bit more now about the individual characters. Maybe not Economist, John Economist.
Right.
I don't really care about him.
Yeah,
and he says his name way too much for me. He'd be like, "It's Economist, motherfucker." It's like, okay.
Okay, wow.
James Gunn, I think, has a lot of power in this, and you can tell.
Yeah,
because some things are a little. It's a little more. Like, Marvel would have been like, nope, let's edit the scene right here. But no, James Gunn is going to give you like 2 extra minutes of like unnecessary misunderstanding dialogue between 2 assholes. And it's like, okay, like we get it. This is fun, but let's get to like why this matters. Because sometimes it doesn't fall. Like it's supposed to be funny or it's supposed to be like, this is funny because it's a misunderstanding between 2 jerks. And it's like, is it? Did it need to go 2 minutes? Couldn't have been like 4 exchanges, Like it doesn't have to always go as far sometimes as it does. But I think that just speaks to the fact that he has a lot of power in what he is able to show and how he's able to edit this, which I think he likes more than what Marvel was doing. Because remember when the Suicide Squad was coming out, he had a lot of statements about how much freedom and how much he really enjoyed. Like, this is the type of project he's really wanted to work on. It's like, dude, you're literally in the middle of doing Guardians 3. Like, what are you saying?
that Marvel has him on a leash because
are you being shady? Like, why?
Yeah, because Marvel had or has him on a tight leash with Guardians because of some behind the scenes things that he did. And
but it's also some of his best work he's ever done. So as much as you want to be upset about it, like, I don't know, to me, Marvel is a good coach. They understand the players and the people they have on their team and the roster and like the coaching staff they've got behind them. And they're able to employ those things in the best possible way so that everybody looks good and it all ends up in the aggregate being a W at the end of the day, right? Like, Marvel's really good at that. And I know that sometimes directors want full creativity to be able to do what they want to do, but I think editing from somebody that's not you is also helpful. Or sometimes having a hard line like, we don't need 5 minutes of this. Like, if we add these extra scenes that you feel is important, like, we don't need to explain this part of the plot to people 7 times. We can cut like 4 of these scenes out and not have something that's not useless, but like, you trim the fat to a certain degree. And I think that with this, you can tell that he has more power because the fat is less trimmed. And I'm sort of waiting for the show to get into its groove where they like really figure that out, like how to trim enough while giving him enough power and freedom to do the things he wants to do in this sort of R-rated show that's really wonky and crazy. Like, a lot of times these shows take a while to get into their groove. Even Doom Patrol took like a season and a half before we were like, okay, like I think I understand. And I think this show might have that too, especially with the advent of these butterfly things. So we're sort of doing like supernatural alien type stuff. Like, it's incorporating more than I thought. I thought this show was really just going to be them taking out like regular ass targets, like judo master type people.
Yeah.
But like the fact that there's like some legitimate, like, sort of deep cut DC supernatural and like superhero type stuff, I think, or supervillain type stuff, I think it gives it more depth to me than I thought it was going to have. So I do like the show so far. I don't know how many episodes. Do you know how many episodes this time for this one? It's probably like 10 or
it's supposed
8.
To be 10. I think 8 or 10. Yeah, somewhere between 8 and 10.
Okay, so we're about halfway through. I think it's working well.
Yeah, but also there's the Matter Eater Lad Easter egg. But Matter Eater Lad is actually a
Somebody's cracking up.
What's going on?
But he's like silently doing it, so you really can only tell.
I had to mute myself because I'm trying. Continue. I'm listening. I'm just somebody sent me something very, very
Oh,
funny, so I had to.
oh.
Ooh,
Well,
I'm sorry.
inbox me later. Inbox that to me later.
I will. Oh, I will.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but we have Easter eggs of Matter
Mm.
Eater Lad who ate a whole Wendy's restaurant. And Matter Eater Lad is actually from the Legion of Superheroes, where he can actually eat anything that's made of matter. He can even eat Superman if he wanted to. So there's that.
So they really didn't. They just gave up on trying to give a creative name to this guy.
Look, like
Matter Eater Lad.
Yeah,
And his power is that he can eat matter. And I guess he's a lad.
Remember what I said? We talked about this weeks ago when I talking about that episode of Young Justice with Saturn Girl, Phantom Girl, Lightning Lad, Bouncing Boy. I mean, when it came to these characters, when they did the Legion of Superheroes, they just went with whatever the power was in their gender or their age. So that's all the names they came up with. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna call you Bouncing Boy. You're gonna be Saturn Girl. You're gonna be Lava Lad or Water Lad or whatever." So that's what they did. It wasn't not
at a
much
time when lad was still an acceptable term. Like, who uses lad today? That's like that's in this country. Like, you just walk around like top of the morning to you, laddie.
Right.
Oh my God.
We got some comments. We got some comments over here. Wilson Sam, I'm a smack him in his bald ass head. Talk about some recast Devon's tits. Leave me alone. Go away. What do you think of John Cena as an actor so far? He's been in several projects now, so just wanted your opinion. I think he's doing pretty good. I saw him when I saw him in Fast. Gee, which one was it? The last one? Fast 10, 9? Okay, 9.
89. Fast 89.
Right. He did a good job as Dom's brother. He actually played a good villain, so I can't complain. I mean, I think he's a good actor at this point. I mean, he's come on. He's gotten better as he goes along his acting ladder. I'll say that. So
Yeah.
he plays,
I think he's better as Peacemaker, and it works for him.
It works.
I don't
definitely
think
works.
that. I don't know if I could say that he's an amazing actor, but I do think that he at least knows how to employ himself in the things that he's in ways that's believable enough to work.
Absolutely.
And with Peacemaker, it doesn't really feel like he's being anybody other than him. Like, a lot of times when I see him in things, it's basically just him being him.
right.
Like
It's
The Rock.
But like The Rock. You're right. Yep.
Yeah, and so like when you do those types of things, you know, when you get to like the super elite tier of it, when you're somebody like a Samuel L. Jackson,
I don't think I'm
or even in some forms, this probably would be a slight hot take, but even in some forms like a Denzel Washington, like when you're good at being yourself as an actor in roles, like it can work for you. So like John Cena is not the best actor in the world. I don't know if he's that diverse or versatile in what he's able to do.
Right.
But I do think that this works for him really well.
Plays a muscle.
And hopefully this can be something for him that actually gets him to that point, because you can see the character has the surface stuff that we saw in the Suicide Squad. He has the capability of being funny. He has the capability of being a charming character, and we also now are getting that sort of backstory about his family life and the darkness, and we see that in him. Like in some of these episodes where it's like you can tell that he's really affected or sad by things. Like, he's very good at sort of showing that like jaded sort of son who wants a father's approval. And so I think he's doing a good job of that in this. Now, if we're asking him to do like a Daniel Day-Lewis or like a Meryl Streep type performance, like
Absolutely not.
in Alfred Woodard or Angela Bassett, like, we're not going to get that.
No. But I will say those years of soap opera acting in the WWE has helped him with this role. I will say that. Because we all know that the WWE is a soap opera. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his characters have also always, to me, been wild.
Yeah.
Like really willing to go there. And I
Yep.
think that that's helped him too in this, because
Yep.
in this you really have to go, like you have to commit to being this crazy or this wild or this like naive, and you didn't put the peace dove or whatever on the
Right,
gun
the
or
peace
whatever.
dub
Like,
on the gun. Hey, I needed a damn peace dub on the gun so I can shoot it. Like that was it. That's all.
like, and he just kept using that as an excuse. Like,
Right.
you really have to commit. And like,
Mhm.
I appreciate the fact that even though he may not be the best, he's willing to commit, and it seems like he's willing to learn to be better too.
There you go.
And so that's all that's really important. You
Yeah.
know, like
Yeah.
everybody has to
And,
start somewhere. Some people usually start before they make it to the screen. Some people are famous enough to be able to be on the screen before they make it to that point. So like,
Right.
as long as you're willing to work.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's willing to work, and I think that the show works really well for him.
And Naomi's getting no love. Have you got? We talked about Naomi. You were
We
just
did.
late, Wilson. You were just late with your bald headed self. We talked about the show though. We did.
Now you know he gonna come back and say something.
I don't care. Me and him do this. Look, I'm used to him at this point. He always doing something to me or saying something. This big head self. Anyway, also, well, and it looks like his father raised him and forced him to kill as a kid. That's got to be traumatizing too. But I think also with his brother, I think his father made them fight to the death, and he ended up surviving, and the brother didn't. And I think that's haunting him as well.
What the hell?
Yeah, the father.
It feels like I don't know how much the father had to do with that specific thing, but it does seem like he definitely killed his brother in like a fight, because the clip that they showed was like the brother was falling back with like a bloodied face and started sort of convulsing as a result of that. But you could see like kids around sort of like egging the fight on. So like, I don't know if it was just a thing between them two that happened, and then he ended up accidentally killing him, which I feel like is why, even though he says, I'll kill men, women, and children for peace or for justice or whatever, like he clearly has a line where he doesn't want to kill kids. And I think it has to do with the fact that he was involved in his brother's death in whatever way we'll eventually see. And I think that that's the limit, because the brother was clearly like, they were both still kids when it happened. And so maybe that's what the limit is for him, but I'm interested to find out a little bit more.
It's good.
Oh, Wilson saying, so you know this means war. Love you. I love you, Wilson. We are the best of insulting friends. We are. But yeah, and so there was a gorilla that was stolen, a silverback gorilla, which made me think of two characters, Ultra Humanite or Gorilla Grodd, and I'm thinking it's more Ultra Humanite than Gorilla Grodd, because Grodd's already out there somewhere in a universe.
It couldn't be Donkey Kong?
Unless he's, I don't think Donkey Kong is a it's a silverback, but okay. And then
It depends on what skin he's wearing.
Cedro.
Right.
Why are you like this?
But yeah, but Peacemaker is going to be a good show. But Judo Master is the one that surprised me too. Like, this little dude is just kicking ass. And that, but I got the fight between him and Peacemaker on the last episode was pretty funny, and there were some wrestling moves put in there. And I'm like, John Cena should be used to this. He he tried to put him in a triangle choke, and he just picked him up and was like, and then did some of those like fake car slams. It was like good action scene. I will say that.
I have a question for you about this, and I guess anybody else who's watching who may be caught up on Peacemaker. Do you think that Adebayo is lying about her abilities? Because she definitely said, like, I've never shot anybody. I've never even shot at anybody. Like, she's never killed anyone. She's sort of seeming like this, whatever. But We know that she's Amanda Waller's daughter, and we also know that during that conversation, she told her that she has a lot of potential, almost in a way of like she's trained her to a certain point, and maybe she decided not to do that, but now because of hard times or whatever, she's doing this particular job or whatever for her mom. But do we think that she has any more to do than the sort of like naive, I haven't done anything? Because at first I was sort of inclined to believe her, but then she hit Judo Master in the chest from a distance in a really tight window with a shot that like someone who's never shot at somebody before or never killed anyone before, like it would be a astronomical probability of getting that shot on target like that. Like he's a little man and he was standing in a window where John Cena's character was blocking some of the view, and there were cars between them, and she was a distance away. Never shot somebody, never killed anybody, scared and like sort of traumatized about the concept of doing it from what she's shown, but somehow was able to hit him dead in his chest to stop him from telling more information than he needed to tell. So I don't know. Like I personally feel like she's more capable than she's pretending to be.
Yeah, I mean, she might be one. It might be one of those I'm scared to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway situations too.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be one of those. But I believe also she does have more skill than she's letting on or showing, because we don't know what else she could do besides be the naive peace. I want to say peacemaker, because that's already, but the conscious of the group, I guess you could say, or the rational person of the group, because everybody else is irrational to a degree, but she's more rational than everybody else. So she's there for some reason. We just don't know exactly what that reason is just yet. Okay. So yeah, it could be a mixture of all of that. It could be she's scared to do it, but she will do it if the cause is, if it's needed to be done. Like she's like, I don't want to kill anybody. I'm scared to kill people, but I'll do it if I have to.
Yeah, I mean, but then she also convinced Vigilante to literally imprison himself just so that he could try to kill Peacemaker's dad.
So she's good at manipulating too. Yeah.
and my thing is like, is this job making her aware of her ability, like her potential, or is she already really good? And this whole like, I've never such and such is it's just an act to try and make them not suspect that she's Waller's daughter, or that she's there for slightly different motives than all of them are there for. Like,
all right. But I mean, yeah, that could be it. But I'm gonna read some of these comments. So, AKA Braille, how you doing? Am I too late, Pacific Night? Did you talk about Boba Fett yet? No, not yet. That's next. Sam says Peacemaker is not shown in the UK yet. Oh, we're sorry.
Apologies.
Very much apologies. She could be omitting certain truths. So technically speaking, when she says she's never shot at someone or killed someone, she's not actually lying. That is a good point. Oh Lord, what is this? Hold on. I'm gonna show. Oh Lord. Remind me, Harry Dolly Parton. Why?
What do you call you, Harry Dolly Parton?
He thinks my chest is out here, and he likes my chest. I think Sam
Dolly chest. She got.
Right. I think what's said what's to motorboat my chest one time. I think I think he does. But anyway, did you guys enjoy James Gunn's Suicide Squad? Yes, we did.
Right. Remember, this is not for children, people.
No, it's not.
We get a little carried away.
Okay, so yeah, we could have
get a room, you two.
Shut up, Citro.
Either in the UK or the US, whichever one you.
I mean, or just a private chat room,
That too.
Because y'all are like MCU level flirting.
There he is. There you go. There it is. Not MCU.
So, before we go to the book of Boba Fett, though, I will say, and I agree.
Steve and Natasha.
I will say, and I agree with Cedro more so now that Batwoman season 3 has found its footing, and I did like these last 2 episodes that came on, and Renee Montoya played them all for fools, and I was just like, bitch. and my only thought was if this was actually maybe, I will say definitely Bruce or maybe Tim or Nightwing, they would have saw through this shit. But because Ryan is so new to this, she didn't pick up on what was really what Renee Montoya's real goal was, and I'm just like, oh, this is good to see though. I like seeing someone who doesn't know everything or follow everything about criminals and is learning. I'm liking it, but at the same time, it was also kind of like, girl, I wish you would have saw through this.
I mean, she's also not a detective, so
True. Yeah,
I feel
true.
like in the same way that the young Robins were
Right.
raised by like a psychopath detective, like she doesn't really have that foundation. And then also Ryan gets blinded pretty easily by like family or relating to people. So I think that like the fact that, you know, Renee was also someone, you know, same gender loving, like had a relationship that didn't work out with somebody who ended up being a criminal. Like Ryan can relate to that because she's been through that too. And so I think she let that be a blind spot for her. So I get it. I do want her to be a little more capable in some of those aspects, but I'm okay with how it went because I really didn't like her character anyway, and I'm glad that I didn't like Montoya's character anyway, and so I like that she betrayed them so that I can continue to dislike her,
Right.
Because the CW will try to make you love a character that like has just been an asshole,
Right. And but letting Mary and Poison Ivy, I guess, re-energize each other and then blossom some new powers. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. What would you? I mean, when Poison Ivy was bad enough, but now you got 2. This was just like, oh hell no.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I thought Mary was going to die.
I did too.
Like I thought she was calling her to drain her of her life and power so that she could get back to full power. I didn't realize that it was like, oh, it's just going to be like a frolic in the tulips and everyone's going to be fine afterwards. Like, oh, I was thrown.
Right. I was like, wait a minute. So wait, it's 2 of you? Oh hell no.
Yeah, it's frightening.
Yeah.
And maybe it won't last. Like there's a possibility that like she took whatever she took and got re-energized, but like it doesn't last, and the only way it will last is if she does like kill Mary. So it ends up becoming an actual sort of conflict. So maybe it can still happen. But at first, when everybody was fine afterwards, I was like, oh, tea and crumpets. Like,
right. and then Ryan and Sophie trying to figure out what their thing is. I was like, oh, I wish I would. And at the end of the episode, I feel like they kind of figured out what they wanted and what was going on. It's just like, oh, y'all figured it out. Okay, cool. I mean, Ryan was mad at people because, well, Sophie did sleep with Renee Montoya, so I feel her pain on that one. And Sophie was just like, she felt, I don't know. So I guess Sophie felt pushed out a little bit. Like she's on the sidelines. She doesn't know if her and Ryan were actually girlfriends or just dating or friends with benefits. She was like, I don't know what's going on either. I don't know what I was like. Y'all just figure it out, and they did. Okay.
Right. The 2 boldest characters in the show can't figure out a way to talk to each other.
Right. Right.
Get that together.
Right. And then when she stuck Marcus with the desecration serum, that was hot. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that to happen. And like now they could probably fix him, but the fact that Renee had the hand buzzed the whole entire time, I was like, you conniving hoe. I'm sorry, but it's just how I felt. Like, really, this is what we're doing.
I mean, right? Because she forced them to work together,
Yeah, right.
like, and like legally bound them and sort of blackmailed Ryan about her identity would be revealed if she didn't, and forced them to work together to retrieve all the stuff that was stolen from Batman's vault or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's holding the only thing they can't find,
right,
just so that they could keep working together. Because this bitch is really trying to find her dead or her desiccated, her dried up girlfriend.
There was so many jokes on Twitter about her being dried up. I was like, you know what? Y'all are evil. Y'all are evil. I was like, I'm not gonna say it, but they're evil.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so
they're working this stuff together in ways that at least is fun.
Yeah.
Even if, like, at the end of the day or at the end of the season, we're like, not so much. Like, at least the ride is fun. Like a WandaVision type thing. Like, I thought that the finale of WandaVision was really good, or I enjoyed it.
Too. Yeah, I did too.
Like, I can understand how people can feel like the finale didn't necessarily, like, it fell a little flat. Like, I can understand that. Even if that happens with this show, like, the ride so far for this season has been good. And I'm glad that they've, like I said before, like, I'm glad that they're finally sort of finding their footing with the new team.
Yeah.
You know, they got a new star player and they got to figure out a way to still win a championship. Like, I don't know if they're championship bound, but they'll at least make the playoffs. Like.
And I'm just glad that everybody figured out, like, especially Luke with his PTSD. He's like, am I a hero or am I not a hero? Like, you are a hero regardless of what that suit says. You're still a hero. I mean, you're a hero because you're facing your PTSD. You're a hero because you're still willing to help regardless of what's going on with you. So that makes you a hero in my book. Like, you're still willing to help regardless of what's going on with you personally, you know. And he did save that kid, so I guess he feel like I am a hero now because he saved that kid from being blown the hell up. You know. So like, yes, we got you. Okay, cool. All right, now on to the book of Boba Fett. And this week's episode was enlightening, because I don't want to say enlightening. It was fun. I will change lightning for fun. Because now we also figured out, or we also discovered. Keema, what are you laughing at?
Cedro.
Oh, of course. Cedro.
No, please finish.
I'm ignoring his facial expressions.
I yield the floor to you.
How he got out of the Sarlacc. That was nice to see. But did you have any thoughts on this episode, Cedro?
This show is doing weird things, and I don't get it yet. I don't. To me, this was probably the worst episode of the 4. Or at least if I'm ranking them, like, it would probably go in order, or maybe like 2, 1, 3, 4. It's just some weird elements in the way that they decide to combine them. It's like they do flashbacks in a way that's not, like, consistent. And I don't quite understand sometimes why they didn't just make the first few episodes of this the flashbacks, and then have the rest of the episodes being in the present. Because I don't feel like the flashbacks are really, they're adding to what you know and things that you want to see. Like, how did he get out of the Sarlacc pit? What has he been doing this time? Like, what does fill the gaps between that point and when he hooked up with Fennec and Mando? Like, how did he get his ship back? Sure. But I feel like all of that could have been the first 2 episodes. And then the rest of the episodes could have just been what he's dealing with currently, because, like, the first couple of episodes, they'd give you a little bit of flashback and then they do modern stuff. and then they do a little bit of that, and then they give it modern stuff. And then there was one episode where it was just like half and half. And then I think this last episode was sort of half and half too. Or it was like multiple, most of the episode was the flashback with Fennec. And then a little bit of like the modern. And I just don't quite understand why the proportions keep fluctuating so heavily. Because I don't feel like the episodes go together as well with them put in so chopped up. It's like when you're trying to make a dish and you have to chop up onions, it's best to chop all the onions around the same size. If you just do like a weird, wild, coarse chop, you end up getting like weird chunks that just don't really fit, or the texture might be off. And that to me is what's happening with this show. And I almost wish they'd just given us the flashbacks for the first 2 episodes, or the first episode or something, and then like just gave us the present with maybe a couple of small tidbit flashbacks. But it's almost like the flashbacks, I don't know if they want to take over the show or they want to stay in the background, because every week they're doing something wildly different with them, and it takes me out of it a little bit. I don't think that the show is informative. I like the things that they're showing us, but there's something that just feels like it's missing so far, and I can't quite explain what it is. I was listening to the Ringerverse podcast, and two of the women who do like deep dives of shows. I believe Mal and Joanna. They talked about, or Joanna brought up an idea that it's because Boba Fett and Fennec are both the same type of character. They're both stoic characters, so they like don't talk too much. They get shit done. They're more about actions than speaking. And a lot of times in most anything that you watch, whenever you get a stoic character, they usually pair a stoic character with a character that's a lot less stoic. Whether they're louder, whether they're more bold, whether they say what's on their mind all the time, whether they always want to talk stuff out. And like the stoic character is like, and you may eventually get them to talk. And so there's a play off of that I feel like you don't like. Well, that she was saying that she didn't feel like she got when it's Fennec and Boba, and they're both stoic characters, not really playing off of each other as well as you'd like. It's because both of those characters are very reserved characters, and it's hard to get 2 reserved characters to carry the excitement of like a show. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that sentiment, but I do think that it might contribute to why the show to me so far is just, it's not hitting. I like what I'm seeing. I'm enjoying seeing these things build up. I'm happy for what it might turn into. But right now, it's like, it's just not hitting. And every week I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see the next episode because it'll do something to get me finally involved. And then it like doesn't. Like we spent a lot of time with Fennec, like figuring out how to get Fennec's stomach fixed and them trying to get, like them chasing around a droid in a kitchen, which is cute, but it's also like, this is Boba Fett, someone who's literally learned how to be a Tusken like warrior and has been a bounty hunter for years. And this dude is like goofily chasing around a rat catcher droid around a kitchen. I don't know. Like sometimes they try, like I don't quite know if they want to be serious, they want to be lighthearted, they want to give us a lot of flashbacks, they want to give us more what's going on in the present. They want to make him seem capable. They want to make him seem like he has no idea what anything is going on. It's like, it's too much of a flux for me to sort of pinpoint what's happening so that I can readily assess like what I'm watching. So far, I don't know yet. I still feel like the same way I felt before I even started watching any of the episodes. And I'm just waiting for that moment where I'm like, oh, this is the vibe. This is the personality of this. This is where it's going. This is what the point of this is. Because right now it's just like I don't know. I need to see more. The Pikes, like being the big sort of bad, just when you thought it was going to be the twins. Like maybe the twins eventually will in further seasons. But right now it's just, it's almost just a lot of setup and not really forwarding anything yet. And so I'm just waiting for that point where they start actually rolling down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
But again, huge Star Wars fan. I'm here for every episode, like I am for anything. It's just so far it's been a little like, okay, all right, what are y'all doing though? Like you gave me Beetleborgs in the last episode.
Well, actually,
I'm sorry, the most Vespas.
Well, and I remember when you said they're so colorful. Well, there's a reason why they're so colorful. Is because it's a reference to George Lucas's movie, The Graffiti. I mean, not The Graffiti, but
American Graffiti.
American Graffiti. Yeah, and it was so many colors, so they kind of threw that in there as a reference to that. That's why they're so colorful and bright to be seen. They were like, "Oh,
tell me anything." Tell us anything. Tell the fans anything to try and make it work. Again, the Beetleborgs they gave us in the last episode in their slow speed chase.
And then we did have a celebrity cameo. I don't know if any of you have heard of his name. His stage name is Thundercat, but his real name is Steven Bruner. I don't know who that is. I think he's a DJ. So that's who showed up. But he was a doctor operating on Fennec, the one that was doing the mods. So if any of you out there know who Thundercat Steven Bruner is, let us know. I don't know who he is. Maybe he's a DJ. I don't know.
I think he's a like a I don't want to say bass player, but I feel like he's like a player in in a band.
Okay.
Like he's an artist in a band, in a pretty well-known band. I can't remember, but I do. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's a part of a band, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure someone that watches this knows better than we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, when they said that, they're like, "Oh yeah, we've got a cameo of such and such." When I was listening to a couple podcasts, and I was like, I don't know.
I don't know these children.
But I think he was cool in his role, so like whatever.
He did what he was supposed to do.
Right. Everybody wants to be a part of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, Daniel Craig was a random stormtrooper in The Force Awakens.
Wow,
like,
really?
Yeah. Like to the point where people are just like, can I be in it in any way? It doesn't really matter. And so you get like James Bond basically just being a stormtrooper, so you never actually see his face anyway.
Oh, wait. So his musical group is called Suicidal Tendencies, and he's a bass player.
Okay, so he is a bass player. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did remember that, at least.
Okay.
But
still don't know them.
Yeah, I don't know who Suicidal Tendencies are either. But they're no longer a band. They broke up in 2011. So so we're gonna get to wait. Was there anything else about Boba Fett?
You do have some questions about Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. Let me get to these comments. Do you think the character of Boba Fett is doing a good job of being a leader? Well, there's a question before that about. Hold on, don't answer that one yet. It's this one. Y'all better go. Oh, never mind. But yeah, this is it. You think character Boba Fett is doing a good job as a leader? Is he doing a good job as a daimyo? I think he is, for the most part. He's taking what he learned from the Tuscans and using that as a leadership. So I would say, yeah, he's doing a good job of using what he's learned from them to be a daimyo.
I think he has the qualities of being a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think he hasn't proven himself to be a good daimyo yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think he's got the potential of being a good leader. And up until now, he basically hasn't led. He's just been, employed and then ended up working under the Tusken Raiders. Like, he led the train heist thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But even when he tried to negotiate that, like, he came back and they were all murdered. So, like,
right.
As a leader so far, I don't know if he's been a great leader or if he's even going to be a great daimyo. But I think he has the qualities because he's endearing. He seems to be able to do what a lot of like anime protagonists do, which is it doesn't matter whom you meet or what side you're originally on when you meet. You always seem to bring people over to your side. Like, he has a really innate ability to do that, like with what he did for Fennec, with what he did with the Tuscans, the way he was even able to negotiate that sort of initial peace thing with the Pikes that didn't work out because of the those riders. But like he keeps bringing people. Like he got Kersantin at the end. You know, he got these other guys to at least admit to his face that they're not going to interfere between this war between him and the Pikes or whatever. Like he keeps seeming to get like people, and that ability, that sort of charisma or that charm or that ability to get people to follow you is definitely a very good quality to have. And I think the rest of it he's learning. But I will say that so far they have not really proven to us that Boba Fett is actually capable of doing his job well. Because I feel like every time we've seen him, he's basically gotten his ass handed to him, or he does something stupid without thinking about all of the consequences, and it bites him in the ass. And I'm like, I don't know how old you are, but sir, you look like you've seen a few too many sons, and like you should be more capable than this at this point. But I guess if you've always done this mercenary role, you're always used to being told what to do. So once you actually have like, I'm smarter than this, I can tell myself what to do and run my own thing. Like he's never really done it before. So I think there's going to be a lot of stumbling. So again, like not yet. I don't think he's shown that he's a good leader, but he's got enough good qualities that leaders possess that he can figure it out and become a solid one so far, because the foundation is really all that's important. If you get strong enough people around you, you can figure out the rest and learn the rest.
Okay. Then we have a question about the end of the episode drops a music cue that signals the coming of the Mandalorian in the next episode. Does this diminish the character of Boba Fett for you? No, not really. I mean, no, not at all. No. And I think if we do get any more Mandalorians, it'll be Bo-Katet's squad, not Mando himself. I think it'll be the girl, Bo-Katet. I think it'll be her squad. Bo-Katan. There we go. Sorry. Yeah, I think it'll be her. I don't think it would be Mando himself.
Yeah, I don't think it diminishes him at all.
Me either.
Because this show is from the perspective of him. So if he's able to pull Mando into this, that just shows exactly what I just said. Like he's able to have strong people that want to join forces with him. Like that's a powerful leader type thing. Like Mando's not initiating this. It's not like Mando's reaching out like, "Hey, I need you to work with me." It's like Fennec or Boba is going to be reaching out and being like, "Yo, nigga, we need your help," and you know he's going to show, or hopefully he shows up or whatever. No, I don't think it diminishes it at all. But I do think it was really cool how they teased it by just having Fennec say, "Oh, if you know where to look, you can find muscle or whatever," and then having the like Mandalorian whistle music play in the background. So it wasn't like you just told us it was him, but you did just tell us it was him. It was very subtle.
Right. Then we also were saying the Boba Fett show was just so high production values, but man, I'm waiting on Moon Knight. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, they haven't they haven't gotten there yet.
No. Cedro is a Ringverse podcast fan. Dope.
Absolutely. The Midnight Boys, the House of R.
Okay, now I want to go listen to Ringverse now. Thank you both for talking about this.
Oh yeah, do that, because so the Ringer, like of course it's part of the Ringer, but the Ringer does a lot of like sports stuff. But I guess they've decided or realized that there's a fandom in comic book stuff, and so they have a Ringerverse, and the people on there. There's a Midnight Boys show, and so it's a couple of characters, and they do more instant reactions to things. So like the same night or the morning after Boba Fett like comes out, you'll get an episode of the Midnight Boys from them, and they give their first sort of take reactions from just having seen it. And then later you get a more deep dive with two women, and they call that show the House of R. Right. Because both of them, I think their last names start with an R. And so they give a deep dive thing, but it's really good. And then sometimes they're on each other's shows and they add their stuff, but their takes on stuff is nice because you get a really good mix. You get black opinions, you get white opinions, you get sort of like a mixture of like deep fandom opinions, people who like some of them aren't, but they all have enough of a basis in like evaluating in assessing stuff that all of their opinions are very astute, even if they're very subjective and like emotionally charged. But it's fun. It's very fun. They play Captain America's theme from the MCU anytime they feel like somebody's telling Cap or lying, essentially. It'd be like, that's Cap, and then do 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 will play.
That's funny.
Like, they do some wild stuff, but it's fun. It's a very fun cast to listen to about certain things. They don't talk about everything. They usually keep it to like Marvel and Star Wars and DC stuff. They sometimes go out on other limbs, but usually they keep it there.
Okay. And last comment, the mod shop scene. I love seeing different parts of the universe, but I was scratching my head at this whole prolonged operation montage. Yeah, it was kind of like we didn't need. I feel like we didn't need the whole operation montage. It was like it could have just been him doing a certain part, and that was it, and then she was fixed. But he was like, "Well, why didn't you close her up and cover up all that beautiful machinery?" I was like, "Okay." All right.
I mean, that's a fair explanation because the first time we saw it, when she first showed it to us,
on Mando, but she did that.
Yeah, and when we saw it, it's like, okay, well, we need an explanation for why it's exposed. So I mean, like, be the person who did it was like, why would I do that? This is art. Like, fuck you. Like,
that's just like this is my art.
Now, like, I'm not, like, again, I'm not mad that they had this. I just wish if you're gonna give us this much in a flashback, it might as well just be the episode in the beginning to set up stuff. I don't think if you're having a flashback episode about how he ran into Fennec, I don't really think we need to spend 15 minutes on how she got her stomach fixed.
Right.
Like the mod shop could have just been a memo. Like she could have just awakened after he picked her up at the fire, or after he picked her up in the desert. Like she could have just awakened at the fire, and she was like, "What happened? Oh, I took you to a mod shop outside of Mos Eisley or whatever." Like it could have just been a mention. It could have been a tweet.
You know how they have deleted scenes? That could have been a deleted scene that nobody saw. It could have been like the whole thing could have been a deleted scene to be shown later. It really could have been.
But I think they also felt like they needed to. I also felt like they needed to establish the mod stuff a little bit, because they sort of just gave it to us like, oh, these are people that have modified droid parts, and then we saw them.
The Beetleborgs from.
But then they were right, and then it was just a little bit alarming because they didn't set it up. They just threw it at us, and so I think this was like a way to sort of help. Like, oh, outside this mod parlor, there's other people with shiny vehicles, and like they look like young kids in like a cyberpunk fantasy. Like, okay, so now there's more people that look like these kids that we saw that are really unique from anything else we've ever seen. And then you go inside the parlor and you get to sort of see what goes on in there. So I think it was more so to help that out a little bit. I feel less annoyed about the Beetleborgs now that that parlor has been shown. I still don't know if the whole parlor thing needed to be shown, but it does explain some of the other stuff that to me hasn't been properly set up.
Okay. So before we go into the Moon Knight, quick news about quick update about Black Panther 2. It has been delayed again because most of the cast and crew have come down with COVID. So now the release date of Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever will be November 11th of this year instead of July. So
I mean, like at this point, if you're not delaying it to the next year, I don't even care anymore. Like it's coming out this year. Fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I don't like I thought it was gonna be a problem when they were like, oh, Eternals is coming out in November or whatever. I was in the summer of 2021 and like Shang-Chi, Venom, Eternals, and Spider-Man No Way Home, those came pretty quick. So I'm not really that phased. I thought you were about to say like, oh, it's delayed until 2023, and I was going to be a little upset, but it's just a few months later.
Yeah.
Eh.
But some people, you know, are still mad at that, and they're like, "Well, what if they would have just recast T'Challa? We wouldn't have this issue." Well, COVID doesn't. No, wait. I was like, wait. Before y'all start, I was like, COVID would not matter if T'Challa got recasted or not. It would still happen.
Ooh, what is wrong with y'all? Are y'all okay?
I don't think
Like,
they are.
Did y'all
God.
miss math in school? Because
Oh,
that'll add up.
God.
And I
What
thought
kind of
addition was
comment
like
is
one of the first
that?
things.
I was like, so y'all really think that if T'Challa would have got recasted already, there would be no delays? COVID still happened, people.
Yeah,
It
God
there'd
would
would
be
be
have said,
divine
happening.
they
protection.
just think that, oh, if they would have recasted him, God would have just said, no COVID for anybody that's working on this movie. Thank you very much. Boom, boom,
Right.
boom. It don't work like that. It don't. Y'all get out y'all feelings and watch the movie like the rest of us. Thank you
Well,
very much.
AKA Bro said, "I got Letitia copping on folks." No, this no. So I knew somebody was going to say that, and to correct that, Letitia's not. Letitia isn't even back on set yet. This is before she even got back. She's not gotten back on set yet, so you can't blame it on her. I know y'all want to out there, but you can't blame this one on her. This is not her.
Yeah, because she's not very liked right now
Right,
by a
she's
lot of
not.
people.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
What
And
can you
type
do?
says talk no jitsu. What? I don't know.
I have no clue.
Anyway, but
Talk
yeah,
no
people,
jutsu.
yeah, talk no jutsu. But yeah, people were like, well, if they just replaced Chadwick, we would have had our movie by now. This would have been out already. We were like, wait a minute.
No, you wouldn't.
What is
You wouldn't.
no.
Let's be clear. Like they really have to prepare. They have to really prepare for what happened to Chadwick. So it was
Yep.
like we got to deal with that, and then we
Mhm.
got to figure out how this story is gonna go. It's a
Mhm.
little too soon for us to for them to even think about recasting him. Now it's probably like okay, but back then when he died, it was like what? Nobody was talking about recasting him.
Mm-mm.
Nobody. But now that it's been a year and some change, people are like, okay, you can do it. And even his brother
Right.
was like, go
Go
for it.
ahead and do right.
Yeah,
But I still stand by my theory that we're gonna get a multiverse recasting instead of a
that would be the
main.
smart move,
Yeah, that would be the smart move. Yeah.
personally, to me.
Um, but moving on to this Moon Knight trailer, which I've been waiting on for months, and it did not disappoint. I was like, yes, we finally get into the supernatural part of the MCU, even though Doctor Strange and WandaVision kind of gave us a little sprinkle, but Moon Knight's about to give us a whole dish. I won't say side dish because I think the whole dish will be Ghost Rider and the Midnight Suns if that happens. But I think Moon Knight's a good side dish for us on Supernatural.
I think it's
Oh
a good.
no,
I think it's a meal.
yeah. Or Multiverse of Madness will also be another good
Well,
meal. So yeah,
we'll see when the show comes out. If it's
Multiverse of
yeah,
Madness will be a buffet.
yeah. There we go.
that, it will.
Well, that
That
it
it
will.
will.
Like
It
it was a
will.
side dish. It was a side dish in WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
Moon Knight will actually be firmly
Yeah.
entrenched in it, and
Mm-hmm.
then Multiverse of
It's good.
Madness. Huh?
If it's good.
No, it'll still be firmly entrenched in Supernatural, whether it's
No, no,
good or
no. I
not.
know. I'm just saying, like, whenever you were saying like it's a main dish or something like that, I was like, if it's good, it'll be classified as a main dish. If not, it's gonna be a side or
But
I don't know.
Just a struggle plate. I feel
Yeah.
not
it's still a main
not a
dish.
struggle, not
It's
a
just a
struggle
struggle
play.
plate instead of
What was
hey.
I feel it.
what I mean oh Lord, a struggle plate.
I don't think it won't be good. I'm just saying, you know how
Yeah.
sometimes when we get certain things, we be like, oh my god, and then when it come out, we like,
Yeah.
So I have a question for both of you and for anybody else out there. Okay, so Oscar Isaacs is playing Moon Knight. Do you think? Because somebody made a comment, they were like, "I am so glad that Oscar Isaacs is getting to actually play an actual good Marvel character because we don't know what Apocalypse was." So my question is, do you think that he is? Kim is laughing. I mean,
woo.
the saying is real. It is very real. But so, do you guys think that he's actually, been given a chance to be used properly for a character, um, not Apocalypse, but yeah, I would say yes.
I can't answer that until I see the show.
Okay,
Right, because
Like
Right.
I can't answer that until I see the show. Also, y'all may hate me. Well, not y'all, not you two, but like
Right.
other people may hate me for this. But like y'all really need to let go of
right,
this X-Men hate.
Yeah.
right, because
Like
we're about to get a
the
whole.
live action X-Men
Yeah.
hate. Like
We're about to get a
just
whole
let
nother
it go.
rebrand at this
Right.
point. Let it go.
Right.
It was never going to be amazing. So like continually trashing people who were in it that didn't do bad jobs. They just were in
No,
movies that weren't written well or
absolutely.
There we
edited
go.
or handled well. Like
Yeah.
just let it go. I know
Mhm.
that it was your favorite, like it's one of your favorite cartoons when you were a child, clearly. But like that doesn't mean that everything has to be exactly like that cartoon was.
Ooh.
Right.
Wow.
It's almost like sometimes people aren't going to be satisfied until like Storm is dark skinned and looks like a pageant with her pageant hair and the all white suit. And it's just like Storm, like there's other ways to portray Storm. Like I definitely would rather her. I mean, I would rather her if you are going to cast her to be, a darker skinned person anyway.
Absolutely.
Right.
But like the whole like if it's not pageant hair Storm in her all white, then it's not good. Like it's killing me a little bit. Or this like Apocalypse looked like Ivan Ooze. It's like, yeah, he did. But we also can't say that Apocalypse has always looked great in the comics either. Like, like he did. I just need y'all to let this go because the
I
X Men
agree.
we're going to
I
get is
agree.
going to be fine. Like, remember how
Yeah.
people were mad about Amazing Spider-Man? Like, so mad about it. And then we got Spider-Man in Civil War, and people were like, "Oh yeah, we like this representation." And then as soon as he started getting established, oh, we hate this. He's just Iron Man Jr. It's like, okay.
And
Like,
now that No Way Home has come out, everybody's loving
They're
Amazing
loving Andrew Garfield
Spider-Man.
again. They
Which
want an Amazing Spider-Man
It's
3
so
again.
crazy. It's like y'all was just shitting on this like not too long ago, but now y'all are like, Andrew, come back to us. We miss you.
Right.
Get the
Right.
fuck out of
because
here. What?
because the thing that I don't think people understand is that perspective and context greatly change your outlook on things.
That's true.
And a lot of what some of these like, let's expand the universe or do this multiverse thing where we bring in other properties that weren't a part of us before, or let's reboot this franchise that hasn't had a sequel since like the mid 90s or whatever. Like what happens is when you recreate or rebring all these things in, you give more context to the things they were originally in. Remember how WandaVision completely rehabilitated Age of Ultron for a lot of people?
Yeah.
Like a lot of these things, or like Loki, it was like WandaVision and Loki made people rewatch Thor, Dark World, and Age of Ultron in ways that they never did before, to the point where people are like, these movies weren't actually as bad as everybody said it was. Like, they never were. There were just people at the time that hated aspects about it and just shat on it. Or, they like a villain because it's one of their favorite types of people. And then in the movie, they're cool, but they die in that same movie. And then people get mad about that. So then it's terrible as a result. And that's how the zeitgeist remembers it. So one of the cool things about watching these Marvel things, especially these MCU things, is that you really can't solidify your opinion on it yet, because all of these things are part of larger narratives. So things that you think were dumb or didn't make sense might eventually
Down the line. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you almost have to be patient enough and open-minded enough to stay that way throughout, as opposed to seeing something and being like, oh, this was trash. The whole
But
thing's
they
trash.
should know that by now, but you know how they are.
Don't. I mean, you
Yeah.
saw what they did with Eternals. It was
Yeah,
bad
and-
because they didn't tie it up in a neat little bow, and they were trying to do too much. I'm like, first of all, the movie was 2 hours and almost 40 minutes. It established a lot.
It did.
I got to know all of the Eternals and a couple of other characters that weren't a part of those 10
That is very
in that
true.
time, in a way that was actually done pretty well, considering all it had to do. But like, because we don't know the end of everything that happened to every character, and we didn't get every character to have
But it literally
40
said
minutes
they
of
would come
screen
back.
time. Like, we're gonna be mad and
This
say
is
that
a
this movie,
And it literally said they were coming back. So
right. Yeah.
like,
you
none of these
just
stories are
told
ever over. So
None
you
of
have to
them.
look at it with that idea before you start like judging things based on these traditionalist views of, well, did it have 3 acts? Was the plot clearly defined, or such as, like, you know, the very basic English English class like methods of
The
evaluating a story. All
or
stories don't
or the
have to go
Siskel
the
and
same way.
Ebert formula that people like to use too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, all it comes from is just like, it's just English. It's when English teaches you how to evaluate literature when you first learn English. Some people stick to that. Some people major in English and then really stick to that and use that as like the rubric for everything because that's what they were taught. That's what they got like their depth of education on, which is fine. But we have to realize that media is different now. Streaming has made things different. These larger narrative and universes being intertwined and intermixed and these characters showing up all over the place, it changes the narrative of like what we're actually watching.
Yep.
And so I think we also have to change the rubric of how we're evaluating these things and not just constantly keep shitting on these movies that are doing really well and doing really good different things just because they're doing different things.
Mhm.
Also, we have to remember that if you make these stories led by people of color or people who are different types of protagonists than we usually get, which is anybody who's not white, essentially, the stories will be different.
Yeah.
And you can't let that affect how you evaluate the story. Like, the story is going to be different because you're getting different perspectives leading the focus.
Absolutely.
And we have to also understand as people of color that when we watch these stories, we have to take our own bias out because we're used to seeing stories that pervade with people who don't look like us.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we see stories that have people that look like us, sometimes we'll shit on those stories too for wrong reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not
Mm-hmm.
realize that we're doing that because sometimes when you're a part of a group, you will absolve yourself from having any prejudices towards that group. When we all have those too. So like, I just think it's important that we reevaluate how we evaluate things as things change enough to warrant that. And I think that things have changed enough to warrant that. And it's really frustrating to like continually go on social media or just anywhere, like even just regular print or whatever, like, and you just constantly see people having the same rhetoric, like, oh, this was bad because there was no shred of plot. Do you know what plot means? Or are you just using words you learned once or you heard somebody say and you're just using it to try and make your opinion sound smarter? Because you clearly like are having some trouble with some of these terms and defining them if you're using them incorrectly to justify your point. Again, opinions can be based on information that is not true.
That they can.
Like, just because it's an opinion doesn't mean that it's valid. Like, it has
Right.
to still be based on something that like makes sense and is actual. Like, so
Opinions are like
we'll
buttholes.
figure it
They don't
out,
like that.
hopefully. Or Marvel will burn in a dumpster fire of despair and as a result of people not understanding that, because these stories are just going to get more complex.
They
Like, we're in the
really
fucking
are.
multiverse. We have 25 movies of and like 6 shows now. Like, this world is too complex for any
Yeah.
story that comes out in the future to be tied up neatly and done at the end of one movie. Like,
Yeah, I'm
it's
like, do
too-
you know
it's-
how many freaking Iron Man and Captain America movies? Like, they're not gonna tie up everybody's story in one single
Yeah.
movie. It's gonna always keep going. I mean, first off,
Yeah.
money, hello, and two, stories like and development for other characters to come. So it's like they know what they're doing. People, calm your tits.
and wait for it.
Right.
And
Right.
just wait
Yeah.
for it. You might get exactly like Deadpool is one of my favorite basically my favorite Marvel character.
Yeah.
I never thought that I was going to see a Deadpool movie. I never thought I was going to see a Shazam movie.
Yeah.
Deadpool and Shazam came out in the same year. and I had one of the best like nerd years of my life. I was like, wait, what? And both of them were cool. Like Shazam maybe like had a few issues, but definitely was still one of the better live action DC movies that's come out. Like it's still top 5 of the modern ones. It's still, or maybe even top 3.
But
yeah.
So Moon Knight trailer was awesome. I loved it. Quick note about Mark Spector. Well, the debut of Moon Knight was in the comic of Werewolf by Night. He was supposed to be a one-off character, but he got so much popularity he became his own character. So yay for that. Mark Spector is the main. He was born Mark Spector, but he has dissociative identity disorder. So when he gets his Moon Knight powers, his other personalities manifest as he's either going to. Sometimes he's Mark Spector or he's Steve Grant. And then there's another one where he's like this real rich guy. I can't think of his name, but he's like got all these personalities going on. But in the trailer, we saw him getting the phone with someone, call him Mark, and he's like, "Why are you calling me Mark?" That could be Marlene, his love interest. It could be. We don't know yet. And he uses a Rubik's cube as a metaphor to see which personality he's on, like based on the colors or which side of it he's looking at or fixing. But then we have the god Khonshu who shows up, and he comes to him as Khonshu comes to him as the god of the moon, but Khonshu is not the real god of the moon. Khonshu is actually an elder god who just is on the outside of what is that typing noise?
I don't know what that is.
It's like a static. Okay, that's better. No, it's still there. Okay. But yeah, Khonshu is an elder god who is basically a god of vengeance, and he's using Moon Knight as an avatar to cause vengeance, to take vengeance out on other people. He has a second connection with Moon Knight. And let's see. Ethan Hawke may be playing the Sun God or the Sun King, Ra, who is the father of Khonshu. So that might be his character, or he's using Ethan Hawke as his avatar. So it's going to be a battle between Mark Spector, Moon Knight versus Ethan, whoever, I forgot his real name, but the avatar of the Sun God Ra. It's going to be coming down to those two. But there will be other characters, I'm pretty sure, and other cameos along the way. How did you feel about the trailer? Have you seen it, Keeman?
I have.
How did you feel about it?
I liked it. It was definitely, for one, I didn't know that this show was coming out this early.
Soon? Yeah, me either.
I don't think it was supposed to, actually. From what I read, it was not supposed to come out. I think Miss Marvel's show was supposed to come out first.
Okay.
It was.
Okay.
But it was supposed to come out it was supposed to come out last month.
Yeah.
Like Miss Marvel was supposed to come out before 2022, and then they pushed it back and was like, "Oh, we're going to do it to January." But then more shit happened, and then the backlash from changing the powers, the fact that they needed to do reshoots in order to make sure that the effects look good and stuff like that. And then I think they're changing some stuff about the Marvels as well, so that might change what's going on in Miss Marvel. So they just want to get it right, and so they pushed it back. I think that Moon Knight was supposed to come out around when it's supposed to come out.
No, that's true.
I just think it wasn't supposed to come out first of the next batch.
That is true.
Like I think it was supposed to come out around March or whatever, but because they weren't sure about stuff at first, they were really quiet about when until they knew. Like they didn't tell us anything until this last this last trailer, and then right before we were getting leaks that like, oh, it might come out earlier than we thought, or such and such and such. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it definitely wasn't supposed to come out first. It was absolutely Miss Marvel.
Yeah, it was a good trailer though. I enjoyed it. I see obvious that there's things that I saw that I was like, oh, this is gonna be kind of dark, and I like it. Um, so I'm excited to see it. I hope that I hope the trailer hype is going to be the same with the show. Because I feel like trailers obviously they hype us up, but the product is I need that to match the energy.
Me too.
But other than that, it looks good. Also, I feel kind of bad about what I heard recently, right after the trailer came out. One of the actors who's supposed to play Midnight Man,
Yeah.
he
hmm
died
Yeah.
of a ski accident. So that's like crazy. He couldn't even see the show. Like
Right.
he couldn't even see himself on the show, which is wild.
Wow.
But you know, yeah. But it was a good trailer. I enjoyed it.
hmm And well, one person who does a lot of Marvel review videos confirmed that the the big dog creature that he's beating up is Werewolf by Midnight, but I haven't heard any confirmations from anybody else. So so I'm gonna renege and say it could be Werewolf by wait
Night.
that's thank you
Werewolf by
Werewolf
night.
by Midnight, yeah, Werewolf by Night. It could be him or it could be something else. We don't know. It could be any big creature. I
Yeah.
mean, we have a lot of supernatural beasts like Wendigo and um anything that and you know what I think that
Excuse me.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Blade reference or a Black Knight reference or even a Dracula reference somewhere in there because I feel like Blade's ultimate villain will end up being Dracula and
Hmm.
not the last time we got a Dracula and Blade reference. I mean movie. I mean Blade Trinity was it was okay. I will say that it was okay. It's entertaining enough to watch for all the bad that it was. That's what I will say. And I feel like we didn't get a Dracula in that movie. We got someone playing Dracula dress up or cosplaying an idea of Dracula. I don't want to say that was an actual Dracula, but hopefully if that does end up being his villain, it's a lot better, and I'm pretty sure it will be. But yeah, the trailer just gave me everything I needed. I was excited. I was like, yes, bring on the supernatural. We need it. I feel like at this point we need something other than well, we need all of it. We need all of it. We need the cosmic. We need the earth based stuff, the space stuff, and also the supernatural stuff too. We need all of it at this point.
Right.
We've been waiting long enough for it. Um, did you have any thoughts or feelings about it, Cedro?
Um, I do think it's going to be really good. It seems like Marvel is finally at a point where they've gotten their legs under them, and they understand the rhythm and like how to release these shows, how to make them incorporate into the movies, how to make the movies incorporate into them, how to have the cameos in a certain place. And I think these previous shows that we've watched were sort of experiments to that.
Mm-hmm.
They were, I mean, like they were also really good. Some of them had had problems in certain places, but for the most part, they were all pretty good. I think Loki and WandaVision were probably the most concise, like the most that like really knew what they were trying to do and like did it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they finally like they get it now. They know what people want also from these shows. And I think this show looks like it's giving us that. It's like we liked aspects of the Netflix Marvel shows and the sort of darkness that they gave us, the dark characters, the dark turns, the more gritty characters. And I think they're going to try to give us that. I think they're going to try to give us like the new Marvel, like the MCU trademark stuff where you got like those characters that'll give you a quick laugh every once in a while. They know how to incorporate humor into serious moments and vice versa. And I think they're really starting to get like they've got enough to know how their shows can work now. And I think this year is going to be them showing that. And I think Moon Knight is definitely like, it's definitely got to have some farther reaching things because every time they start like this batch or this season of shows or whatever you want to call it, every time they do it, it's like something sets up something else.
Yeah.
WandaVision set up a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like WandaVision set up a lot. It made previous stuff more relevant. I think Moon Knight is going to do that as well. I think it's going to be the sort of window for the supernatural stuff. And then it's going to end, if we get one episode per week, it's going to end directly a couple of days before Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out.
Mm-hmm.
That should be right.
And since both of them have to do with being in London, plus we have Dane Whitman, who also works at a museum in London. Not the same museum as the Moon Knight character in the trailer. Not the same museum, but still also a museum that's supposed to be in London. Yeah. I think there's a very strong possibility that we might get like a Dane Whitman tease in Moon Knight. Mm-hmm. There's a strong possibility we might see Moon Knight and Dane Whitman in some sort of capacity or reference in some capacity in Doctor Strange. Especially since Doctor Strange 2, especially since we know this is getting a little more dark and a little more supernatural. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to clearly we're going to get some more explanation about vampires and werewolves. Mm-hmm. And that sort of aspect of things. We're going to get more multiverse understanding. We're going to get more like Wanda's powers and what being a, chaos magic and Scarlet Witch, what does that actually mean? Right. We're going to get a little bit more meaning for that. We're going to get the stakes. Right. We're going to get the stakes of like Doctor Strange, because I feel like part of Doctor Strange's movie's journey is him actually being like humble enough to be the Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like it's his journey to become the Sorcerer Supreme. And so I think we're going to get we're clearly going to get more of that as well. And I think it's going to be nice. I think Moon Knight's going to be pretty good. And even if it's not good, it's going to give us enough information MCU-wise to set up other good things.
As long as the story is good.
And it's just, I just don't think that Oscar Isaac is really going to be a part of this, given his track record. Like I understand the Apocalypse reference, but I don't think he did a bad job as Apocalypse. I just think the styling for the character was
very much so.
Yeah,
sus. So
when we saw it, we was like, who?
Yeah. So he's solid, and Ethan Hawke is like one of the best white actors that's currently doing stuff. And so I just don't think either one of them is going to make this bad.
No.
It's just about how they cut it, edit it, and put it together to me. And even if it's bad, even if it somehow ends up not being good, it's gonna tease enough stuff. It's gonna give enough information about other things that'll be relevant enough and exciting enough to keep me until the other stuff comes out. So
right, and also remember that in Loki in the TVA they said, remember that time we caught that vampire and that so they already exist in the MCU. We just haven't seen a lot of vampires and werewolves and stuff, but they're there. They exist. I'm going to read some more comments, and then I have one more thing to show, and then I think we can wrap up. Moon Knight is about to give me that sweet moon werewolf energy I've been needing. Are you AKA, bro? Are you a fairy? Let me find out. Type says, oof. He also says, nerd rage has no equal.
This was when we were talking about the whole X-Men thing,
Yeah. And but my nostalgia needs to be a reality. What about X-Men again?
Right.
So I believe I was talking to Cedro about Raising Dion season 2 and when it was supposed to come out, and season 2 actually does come out. It doesn't have the actual date up here, but it is February 1st that Raising Dion season 2 does come out on February 1st. So, yay, early birthday present for me.
I got enough time to watch season 1.
Uh-huh. So if you have not watched Raising Dion season 1 yet, please go do so. It is a very, very good show that I think you will enjoy. I mean,
I believe it.
A little boy with supernatural powers? Come on now. I
know it was in a little controversy at one point because of what it originally was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
because like I guess the little boy was a darker skinned boy.
I don't know about that. And even if he, you know what, no,
I mean, we don't have
we
to. I'm just saying. This is
right.
what I had read or what
Uh-huh.
I've seen. That people were saying like, what they originally showed was one thing, but what came out was
Another?
another thing. So I was
Okay.
like, oh. But I'm still gonna watch it because I mean, my people. So.
Right, right. And it's also right at time for Black History Month. So
Mm-hmm.
double, yeah. And as we approach Black History Month, yes, our podcast will be getting very, very black next month.
Oh, you better know it.
That's Black Lives Matter, and Black lives are awesome. Yes, they are. It's,
Mm-hmm.
especially in comics, anime, video games. And I wish that Forspoken was actually coming out next month too. That would have been awesome, but we have
Oh,
to wait on that a little longer.
I want to play that game so much.
Me too. All right, y'all. Well, we're gonna wrap this up, and we will see you guys next week, next Sunday at 5 o'clock.
Mm.
And I hope you all have good weeks, good days. Relax, relate, release as much as you can this week, because as time goes on and as COVID goes on, this world will get crazier. So take care of yourselves, as always. All right, y'all. We're gonna end this broadcast. Peace out, everybody. And next Sunday at 5. All right.